I would say spend more time with people. Like you could come here and study night and day and still feel like it's not enough because the IB is crazy. If you decide sometime to stop studying and hang out in the common room with your friends, or I don't know, go to the mall with your advisory or whatever it is, like I think that's the absolute best thing that you can do here, and that's going to be really memorable and have a bigger impact on my life.
Hi everyone, we are three DP1 students from UWC Changshu.
And today we have Alex and Ramie, which are the University Counselor of UWC CSC. They are also amazing community members.
But however, they are leaving, so we just had a really nice conversation with all of them about their future plans and their favorite memories on our campus. So please enjoy this video.
I mean, for me, my first semester in UWC Changshu, I had a very distinct memory. I'm the head of house at Bait. And I remember walking up to the common room, and for literature and performance class, the students were preparing Romeo and Juliet. And I remember being really feeling like I was at UWC because Juliet was played by a Chinese girl, Romeo was from South America, the other characters were from other countries in Asia and Europe, and I remember thinking, wow, Shakespeare never thought about his plays like this in a global manner. And then they performed Romeo and Juliet in Yushan Academy at the night, all lit up, and I remember thinking, wow, this is really interesting way to do education in a global world. So for me, that is a very UWC Changshu memory that I have.
Yeah, I think all of my favorite memories are things that students have initiated because, I don't know, I've been an adult for a long time and worked with adults and they do their jobs when they are supposed to, but for students to go above and beyond what it means to be a student and study and whatnot, to me I think really sets UWC apart. Last year, my counseling DP2s had a surprise birthday party for me in the office. It was really cute, and it was funny because one of my DP2s had scheduled a counseling meeting for the end of the day, and there was some miscommunication about when the surprise was going to happen, and so we were just having the longest counseling meeting ever. And I have a jar of questions on my desk, funny questions you can answer in your meetings, and I think he answered all of them. He was like, let's do some more questions. And I was like, why does he want to do this? But I thought he just was really into counseling, but he miscommunicated, so they were standing outside the door for a really long time waiting to come in. And it was really funny, and it was a great surprise. And yeah, all the other things that come up for me, my favorite memories like drag race and vagina monologues and things that students have initiated where they're just so willing to take leadership and be vulnerable, and faculty follies, just really fun and funny things that don't always happen at other schools.
I remember because of the pandemic, we left China for 7 months, and we were really worried about what would UWC Changshu look like when we came back. Would the students still be special if it was only Chinese? This is, the conversation everyone was talking about. And then when we came back to China and we got to our apartment and we had to quarantine for 2 weeks, our advisory groups met us outside the windows and held up signs and took selfies. And it was a really nice welcome back and reassured us that yes, we don't have the international students anymore, but the students are really special still. And that feeling has stuck with me for the last 2 years.
Favorite places on the campus? One of my favorite places on campus currently is the goose. The pen that has a goose in it. Have you met the goose?
Is it in the back of the playground?
Yeah. So if you sneak around behind the outside of the football pitch near the edge of the lake and walk past the garden, we just have a goose now.
Yes.
And I like to go visit it because sometimes it's hanging out with some of the stray cats. it just like it's so random and nobody knows how it got there, and it feels very like UWC to me that like one day we just had a goose and it eats the fruit peels that people put in the fruit peel bin in the canteen. So yeah, I really like the campus goose, which is not, it's sort of a location, but more of like a vibe.
Yeah, I guess for me, my favorite place would be UWC Academy and the Moon Bridge right outside. We've taken a lot of nice walks there, but mostly I've seen really cool student performances there. The immersive theater, I don't know if you remember this from last year. It was an amazing theater production students totally put on by themselves, not even for class, using UWC Academy as the scenery, and you walked around it, and it was just incredible. Yeah, and Romeo and Juliet, like I said before. So for me, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I think they're already start to produce industrial version 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we're super excited.
Yeah, you didn't get to see it last year, so.
Yeah. This year I will move mine. I'm also excited.
Everything that comes to my mind is very university counseling related.
I was also going to say university counseling thing.
Because of course, these are the conversations we're having with you all lately. But yeah, when I was in high school, I remember being really focused about comparing myself to the people around me, whether it was SAT scores or where I'm going to college or what will my future look like, or even just, do I have a girlfriend, boyfriend, these types of things. And I wish I could tell myself to take a step back from what's in front of my eyes right now and try to think about what the big picture will look like, because all those concerns go away the second you leave this island, this bubble. But it's really hard to take a step back when you're a teenager. But yeah, remembering that it will be very okay. You're all so incredible. Life will work out in the end. It's very corny and cliche, but I truly mean that.
Yeah, I mean, my life advice that also came to my head is about university counseling, because that's what we've done here. University is not the end goal of a UWC education, or it's not the end of your life either. It's another school, and then you'll live for many decades more. And so, like Ramie talked about, there can be some competition or some pressure here to feel like, especially around colleges and universities, but colleges and universities are also places where you can continue to explore yourself and your interests, and you don't need to have it all figured out. And it's another place for you to gain experiences and knowledge on a path to something bigger. And everyone at UWC hopefully has their eye on something bigger, and that's why they're here. And so it's not like, oh, I got into the school, I'm done, I never have to worry about anything ever again. There's a lot of pressure here to know what you want to do with your life, and my advice would be that it's like wonderful to dream about the global issues that you want to solve, but even if you think there's one pathway toward it, you're probably wrong. Nothing against you personally, but I worked in a lot of graduate schools, like business schools, where we did not want people who studied econ, and law schools where we did not want people that studied poli-sci. We wanted people that had really diverse life experiences and interests. And so people are really good at doing that here, trying new IB subjects and new Zheshings, and university is another community where you can explore, and it doesn't need to feel like this end goal achievement.
No, this is not. I think when I was younger, I thought I would be a banker, because do you know what a piggy bank is?
Yeah.
I had a little animal that I put my coins in, and so I thought that's what a banker did. So no, I did not think about being a counselor.
I wanted to work in theater or the arts. That's all I really wanted to do in school and in university. And I basically planned on it. I worked at an opera company, and I was like, great, I'm gonna work in the arts and it'll be great. So education kind of came as a surprise to me, but you know, if you think about the things that you love most, or even your favorite subject, my favorite subject was theater. What I liked about it was emotion and storytelling and like making human connections. And so now it's easy now to sit in a university counseling office and be like, this is basically theater. Or it's what I liked about it. I didn't want to be a professional actress. And so I can think of the things that I liked about it and how it overlaps with what I do now. But it wasn't the plan per se. Yeah, I think something that I really like about university counseling at UWC Changshu is that the students are very open-minded and what I would say maybe brave about thinking about going to university. I did university counseling in the United States before this, and in the United States, most people stay in the United States. And something you might hear in the United States is, oh, I don't know if I want to go to that university because I've never visited it before. Here, overwhelmingly, no one has visited any of the schools they've ever applied to. Sometimes the schools visit us, but especially during COVID, nobody's going on like some grand tour of the world to visit universities. And our students apply to multiple countries. And of course, like technology has gotten better with virtual tours and TikTok videos and things like that. But it's really like impressed me that students are willing to, you know, put themselves out there and consider moving their lives maybe even around the world for the first time. And I think it's very brave.
I mean, a story that I'll never forget surprising me. I'm not sure if you remember last year there was a student named Mike who was blind. He had visual impairments. And he was a great singer. He sang opera, and I was his college counselor. And when it came time to write his personal statement college essay, I was so sure he was going to write an essay about music or about being blind, because these were what everyone thought about when they thought about him. And he came to me with a first draft of an essay about empathy and sympathy and how the whole world treated him sympathetically, and it was a bad thing for him because he just wanted to be treated the same as everyone else. He didn't want to be treated like, oh, poor Mike, he can't see, we need to help him. And it really, really impacted me as a beautiful reminder that we can't assume anything about anyone, that people's stories cannot be so simple based on what we see them doing around and what they're talented at. People have a lot more layers. So that was like a very surprising moment for me in university counseling, and it was a beautiful essay to read.
Ooh. I mean, Christoph makes me sing soprano in choir, and I'm an alto, so that's a challenge. I'm also part of the anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion group with an awesome group of students on my working team, and that's been challenging just because it hasn't existed before at the school. All the UWCs are in the process of setting them up, and it's challenged me particularly because it's a type of work I've done before in the United States, but in the United States, we've been talking about racism for a long time because the United States has been racist for the whole time it's been a country. But it's something that we talk about, we learn about in schools. It's just very different than the way it's talked about in other countries. And so it's been an interesting challenge trying to set that up at the school and, you know, explain to different people what it means and why it's important. It's been very valuable, but it's slow work, but it's important work.
I mean, for me, a big challenge has been, how do you allow students to be leaders on our campus when we're the adults in the room? So as a head of house, it's sometimes really challenging for me to take a step backwards and give the students opportunities to run house meetings or plan activities when you're all so busy with IB and everything else. Same thing with Frisbee, all these things. I don't want to be doing everything. I want the students to be leading. And then challenging, I'm quite afraid of attention. And so anytime people want me to go on stage and perform, which is a lot, I usually say yes, and those are quite challenging moments for me, but fun.
I mean, it's been a challenge to answer the question of what is UWC during COVID, I think around the world, not just on our campus, but a particular challenge here because one of the goals of UWC is global connectedness, and border closures stand exactly at the as the antithesis to global connectedness. But UWCs have 9 value statements. I can't remember how many. A bunch of values, and one of them is intercultural understanding, but 7 or 8 of them are not about global diversity. And so it's an interesting opportunity for us to remember all of the other things that make something a UWC, and those have not gone away. And so on paper, we're still checking the majority of the boxes. Doesn't necessarily mean it feels that way. But the other thing I would say is it is of course easier to empathize with somebody if they're standing right in front of you. I don't know what it feels like to live in Bosnia and then I meet someone Bosnian and I understand their experience. But it's also not totally fair to say, well, I'm just going to be ignorant about the world around me until I happen to literally run into someone from that country and they're going to teach me about that country. I think that UWCness is not having a roommate from another country, it's caring about the experiences of someone from that country, regardless of whether or not they're sitting across the table from you at the canteen. We can't always expect people to educate us about themselves. We have to want to be educated about those things regardless of whether or not they're sitting across from us. And obviously it's much better if we're all together because that's a really dynamic way of learning. But in the meantime, I think UWCness is reading a book about those things, scheduling an online event with people from other campuses to try and connect even though the borders are closed, and remembering the other things that we stand for, like sustainability and our other values.
Yeah. I would say in some ways our school's really not living up to UWC values like sustainability. Partly that's the fault of just the design of the campus where it was built as a school but not necessarily for like energy efficiency for heating and cooling, and that's not the fault of anyone currently on campus, right? But there are certain students who I don't think have quite come here for the UWC values. Maybe they've come because we have great university counseling results, or maybe, the pandemic happened and they had nowhere else to go, and so this is a cool international school, and that's okay. I think there's an organization in the United States called Teach for America, and what it does is it takes college graduates and puts them as teachers into some of the schools that have the fewest resources. So it's taking very smart young people and putting them in very challenging teaching situations. And most of those people quit teaching after 2 years and go into other professions, lawyers or business. And many people criticize Teach for America by saying you're burning out our best teachers. But there's a lot of good that happens for these people who are exposed for 2 years to the challenges of teaching in some of the poorest parts of the USA, and the rest of their lives as lawyers, as business people, they will donate money, they will vote in support of helping schools. Like, they've been influenced by Teach for America, even if they're not in the scene. And I hope that UWC Changshu is similar to this. Even if someone in their 2 or 3 years at UWC, maybe they're not UWC enough now, but hopefully they'll have some sort of influence, and later when they think back on these years, they think that was pretty cool, and I do care about the UWC values. I was just too busy with pressure from my parents to do something about it, or I was too busy with the IB or whatever. But now they do care about these things. So I don't think we can measure, are we a UWC in just the time that you're on campus, but it's like a much longer timeline. And we are a UWC, no matter what the debate on WeChat is happening right now.
Yeah. So at the end of the school year, we're going to go back to the United States for the summer holiday, which is where we're from. We're going to go to Ramie's brother's wedding, and we're finally going to have a honeymoon because we got married a few times during COVID. We had some disrupted marriage plans because of COVID, and we never got to go on any like holiday after our wedding. And then after that, we will be working as university counselors at the UWC in Singapore.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll be working, there's 2 UWCs in Singapore. I'll be working at the Dover campus.
And I'll be working at the East campus.
Yeah, so it was really important to us to stay in the UWC family, even if right now it's not easy for foreigners to live in China. We didn't want to leave UWC. And so Singapore allows us to stay working for UWC in Asia.
Yeah, we just really love it here, and not just at UWC, but at UWC Changshu. But right now, when things come up in the United States, like someone gets sick, or my best friend had a baby the other day, we can't go home. So that's unfortunately, maybe we'll be able to come back here when the restrictions change. But for now, we'll be heading to another campus.
Yeah, I think traditions will come and go, people will come and go. For everyone if you're watching this and you don't know who I am probably, or anyone else who's here, start something. This is a special place where students are usually given permission to do something that they want. And if you're not given permission, many students just do it anyway. And that's pretty cool sometimes. So yeah, just do the things that you're passionate about. Frisbee team may be gone, start a Frisbee team, but that's been one of the best moments for me was watching that community grow. The bait house probably will have completely different traditions. Start new ones. Traditions are not always good. Make new ones, break traditions.
Yeah, I would say that no school is perfect, and our school is not always perfect, and there are things here that probably frustrate students and faculty alike, but what has always been good while we've been here, and I assume will continue to be good, is the people. Like, no matter what is going on at the school and how frustrating it is, at the end of the day, I'm happy every day because the students are awesome, and the friends that I've met here who I work with are awesome, and that's always been true. And so I would, again, like anyone who is watching this, I would say spend more time with people. Like you could come here and study night and day and still feel like it's not enough because the IB is crazy, but we're sitting here telling you that everyone always gets into great universities, and it's not because they killed themselves with the IB. It's because of the other stuff they did here. And if you decide sometime to stop studying and hang out in the common room with your friends, or go for a walk, or I don't know, go to the mall with your advisory or whatever it is, like hang out with your teachers and go learn a new sport because the weather is nice, I think that's the absolute best thing that you can do here. And faculty, I think it's true for faculty too, that sometimes I feel like, oh, I should really do work today, and then I decide not to, and I do something fun that's going to be really memorable and have a bigger impact on my life.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's cool.
Some of the best ideas are lunch table ideas.
Yeah, indeed.